Deciding which credit card or loan is right for you is like trying to choose where you want to eat for dinner. Except when you finally get to the restaurant, the menu's riddled with jargon that no average foodie could understand. So at Credit Karma, we keep things simple. We show you personalized recommendations that align with your money goals and help you turn the confusing fine print into terms you can actually understand. And as a cherry on top, we provide a detailed overview for a new card or loan before you apply. That way, we can help you make decisions faster and with more confidence. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
Do you have trouble remembering appointments?
Well, I have 2 calendars. I have a backup calendar to my calendars. It's a standard for appointments. I remind myself a week, 2 days, the day before, and 15 minutes. And I set an Alexa reminder for literally 90 seconds before my meeting.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why? Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm trying to get creative with my intro. I don't want to change my tagline.
Yes.
But I need to pizzazz it up somehow.
You need to pizzazz it up. You can add some jazz hands, maybe a little top hat.
Why? Hello, everybody. How are you doing today?
Breeze dance right now, which kind of gets us to another topic because we squirrel a lot here on this podcast. And it's the subject of today's episode about why we think, well, kind of like diagnosed too, we have ADHD. We do. It's serious. It's a serious issue. And Brie, I do not know how long that you have been telling me that you were going to go get tested, and you have not.
No, but I do have the name of your was it psychiatrist, nurse practitioner? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to do
amazing.
it. I really do. So maybe that'll be my goal, because obviously we're recording this beforehand. So I'm putting this out there in podcast land, people. I'm giving myself 1 week from the date this episode airs. Check in with me about how my appointment has gone, even if it's just scheduling the appointment and it's not actually happening. It's still at least moving in the right direction.
Oh, so you don't even have to schedule it until the podcast episode airs?
I'm giving myself some self-compassion, man.
Some self-compassion.
It's rough this week.
As a little scene behind the curtain, the reason I give Bree so much crap about that, it is currently a month from when this podcast episode is airing.
Is it really? I didn't notice.
It is a month.
Oh, okay. All right, then. So I'll give myself a little bit. Wait a minute. Okay, I will give myself a shorter timeline, but isn't this about both of us?
We're talking about you right now, Bree.
Okay,
right
fine. Now. Fine. Bree and her issues that are very, very apparent. I am. The one thing I suck at is follow-up for medical appointments. And I will beg my doctor when I'm in an appointment, please just make me make the appointment now. Because I will walk out of here and be in my car and it'll be poof, gone. Oh, well,
Yeah.
Who cares about that? I don't need any follow-up.
I do too. I do that with my kids' follow-ups too. My daughter still doesn't have a well check scheduled. It's been a few years.
I've gotten better about that with my kids, but I'll be honest, being a divorced parent kind of gets you on the butt with that one. But I with myself, I keep telling myself I've got more time. It's not a big deal. It's no biggie. And in the meantime, I am flailing around like a fish out of water, trying to get stuff done.
But let's just say there's some things with ADHD, especially with girls and women. They go highly undiagnosed because women usually do not have the same symptoms as hyperactive boys who are running around the classroom, obviously not paying attention. The girls are more the daydreamy type, the ones who get lost in their own thoughts, who are trying to listen during class, but then realize 25 minutes in, they haven't heard a damn thing that's been said. That was me all through high school. I used to give myself so much hell for that because I'm oh my gosh, I'm just not a good student. I can't pay attention. Lo and behold, 15, 20 years later, I finally occurred to me, hey, I might have ADHD. And I do. But if you are listening right now and you feel like you describe yourself as flighty or distracted or bad at follow-up, listen to this episode because it is not you. It could be ADHD. So now let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast.
So first, before we start this ADHD talk, I have to say that moms have a lot of responsibilities upon them. A lot of responsibilities, like so much more than we put on men.
Oh yeah, totally. And you know, I'm also I don't know if I'm going to go off on a tangent here. So, but I feel like too, you know, in the intro you were talking about how girls and boys present differently.
Mhm.
I feel like for us as women, like we have just been told to suck it up and figure it out our whole lives.
Mhm.
So we kind of assume that everybody has these same, like, and I'm saying we as like the undiagnosed ADHD community, like we sort of feel like everybody must have these issues that they're struggling with. Like every mom is busy.
Mhm.
Yeah, every mom is busy. Sure. I'm not any different, but I think kind of my brain is.
Yes.
And I think that's rough. Yeah.
That is something I am realizing too. Like there is a point where all of our strategies that we've put in place to deal with ADHD for years, a point where you get so busy that all those strategies fail you. And that doesn't happen to normal people, honestly. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
I was-
totally.
like I don't know who needs to hear this, but like if you have been like functioning with ADHD and you probably have systems in your home for like what you have to do to deal with things and how you
Yeah.
remember things. Like for instance, my keys. I don't really have keys anymore though cuz I have a Tesla. So I like drive it with my car, with my phone, I mean. So I have that phone with me all the time. But like car keys and stuff, they go on the door, right? They go on the hooks right by the door. They have to go there. When my daughter started driving, she walked in the door and she was still carrying her keys. I'm like, nope, stop. They go right there.
Yep.
And I don't realize that until I'm starting to teach them to like my daughter. And it's how I keep myself sane. And then you actually go and you get mad at other people when your schedule and your systems are messed up, even though they were in your head all along. These people had no idea that you were thinking this way. You end up forgetting a lot of things, or like it can happen a lot with moms with kids. I mean, you have no control when you have children. They will make
Right.
you late. They will need things at the last minute that will take you in a totally different direction. Bree's like, and I'm here.
Well, I mean, like, because, okay, some struggles are universal in parenting. Like you just said, kids will be unpredictable. You will be running late. You will have things pop up out of nowhere. Systems in general, routines, child development, psychology, developmental psychology, they have shown and proven that routines do help reduce stress and make things calmer. But there is a difference between reducing stress and making things calmer, and you're going to lose your ever-loving shiznit if somebody messes with the routine.
Yes.
And that is Brie. Don't you remember what's my nickname on the team?
Don't move my cheese, Brie.
Don't move my cheese, Brie, because I can't find it if it gets moved. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works too, because I remember one situation, I didn't realize I did this because I feel like my entire family, we have ADHD. Like it does run on both sides of the family.
I was going to say
Diagnosed
formally in your family, you do have the higher end. Yeah.
And so we have like my husband and I have like systems and structures in our house, and some things that I've had to fight back against him, because how he deals with it is he thinks about one thing at a time. And I'm like, no, that does not work. Like you're getting some other things on your plate. Like
you don't have that luxury. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's another thing, another podcast episode we have about how moms, like the one with the marathon and the viral clip, mom had to stop the marathon to grab the damn cup. Because like we're not given that luxury of only having to worry about one thing. We're just not.
No.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't push back against it. We should, but go on. I'm stepping off my soapbox. Tell me more about what your husband.
Yeah. So we have all of these things that I think we communicate pretty well with. We all do our own laundry, for instance. Nobody touches our clothes because it's not from some like high and mighty, oh yes, we are so self-sufficient. No, like we honestly go crazy when we can't find something. Like the way that we keep things organized is we're like, oh, that's in my clean clothes basket and that one right over there. And it's like, you know it, but you cannot have someone move it. We have cleaners who come to our house every 2 weeks, and I love them. I love them to pieces. Marisol and Dulce, I love you. But like some things that I've started to do is they will put away items in the kitchen if they're out on the counter. And so now before they come, I am one of those people who has to clean up and put away everything because I will go totally insane trying to find something.
Oh,
It'll get
yeah.
me off my guard, and I
Oh,
will
yeah.
like it'll raise my anxiety levels to a point where I just can't control it.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, and I feel like other people roll with those things a little bit more. They're like, "Oh, someone's cleaning my kitchen. It's great. Oh, this is over in this cabinet. No big deal." And I'm like, "It doesn't go there." Like,
right? I think that's kind of the point that we're trying to make is that everybody has difficulties. Everybody and nobody likes it when their stuff is moved. All right? Let's just be I don't think anybody doesn't care at all. It's a 0 on the spectrum of cares when their stuff is moved. But we're explaining to you that because of the fact that it causes so much anxiety, it makes us immediately go into catastrophe center. And think about it. If you've ever been around a kid with ADHD, especially, again, like we were talking about boys, I feel like you can see that with them because when their routines get messed up or when they're feeling out of control, they do tend to have more of those explosions. And girls, we've held it in. But I feel like as you get older as a mom, and don't even get me started on perimenopause, you just lose your shiznit when you had a system in place and now it's not working. Like it's that whole Rome is built in a day. Rome can be destroyed in a second if somebody puts my spices in the wrong spot because I can't find them then. And then it's just all hell's broken loose. There's no damn dinner. That like the dog is gonna like starve. The kids are gonna run away. Like it's done. It's done. That's where my brain goes because my spices got moved.
It's really hard to deal with breaks in the routine too. It affects you. I'm talking from experience. It affects me so hard. I mean, we're recording this just the week after my son was in the hospital where all these unpredictable things happened. And
your weekend did not go as expected. No,
I am still emotionally recovering from it. And like what happened when I came home from that hospital, that entire kitchen, like I cleaned it. And I do not clean kitchens, guys. I don't do it. But I had to know where things were to get some semblance of control. Another example of ADHD, and I have some questions actually pulled up here that you could ask yourself as to if you might be struggling with ADHD too. Brie and I will give you our answers to these right after this. My water bottle is my constant accessory. I carry my pink one with me everywhere I go, and I honestly get a bit anxious when I don't have it. And I am always looking for ways to make drinking more water easier so I don't even have to think about it.
And that is why we love AquaTrue. Seriously, just one set of filters from their classic purifier makes the equivalent of 4,500 bottles of water. That's less than 3 cents a bottle, and you know how much I love a good deal. Plus, we get to help save the environment.
The filters are affordable and long lasting. No changing filters every 2 to 3 months. AquaTrue filters last from 6 months to 2 years. I can truly taste the difference compared to my old water filter.
AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and makes a great gift. Today, our listeners receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com. That's AQUATRU.com and enter code NGM at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use the promo code NGM. Green Chef in Every Plate is now owned by HelloFresh, and with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between the brands, and now our listeners can also enjoy everything at a discount with Joanne and me.
And you know, I love takeout, but it is so expensive, and this is tasty restaurant-style meals without that high price tag and less time even than it takes to get delivery.
I have to tell you, HelloFresh has a ton of options for whatever you are craving craving. Choose from a changing menu of over 50 recipes each week. Plus, take your pick from over 100 Market add-on items like dessert, breakfast, and did you know they have snacks?
That sounds amazing. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free-NGM. Applied across 7 boxes and new subscribers only, varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free-NGM.
HelloFresh, America's favorite #1 meal kit.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 45% off select styles. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So, Brie, I have questions that psychiatrists usually asks when screening for ADHD. I've been through several.
I want to hear 'em.
Yeah, I've been through several of these ADHD screeners, and ADHD and anxiety kind of relate to each other. So a lot of times when you go to the doctor with complaints of anxiety or with ADHD, if they start treating the anxiety, typically the ADHD symptoms go down as well. So like I'm at the point where I keep telling my nurse psychiatrist, I'm like, so can we test for ADHD? I just want to know. She's like, if you want to know, you can, but like, I don't know what difference it's going to make. And like, honestly, me being treated for anxiety and being on meds for that have brought down the ADHD symptoms quite a bit. But here are some questions, Brie.
Okay.
Let's go with this one. How often do you have trouble remembering appointments?
How do I answer that? Because I have a system so that I don't.
Yes. Yeah. Tell us your system for it.
Okay. Well, I have 2 calendars that I keep track of because I have a backup calendar to my calendar so that when I ignore the and by the way, okay, so okay. All right. So I have, it depends on when the appointment is. If it's during the week, it's on both my work calendar and on my Cozy app calendar. My Cozy app has a standard for appointments. I remind myself a week, 2 days, the day before, and 15 minutes before.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of reminders. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on my work calendar, it's just there with no reminder, but it's because I see my work calendar all the time, and my Cozy app I don't see all the time. And I set an Alexa reminder 10 minutes before I have to leave the house.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of reminders, but that's a system. That's how you know you have to deal with it.
It works. It works for me.
For me, I have to think about my appointments right after the next one. So as soon as I finish with one appointment, I look on the calendar and I'm like, okay. And I'm checking
you
the
have
time.
to schedule it.
I'm like 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Is it 2 o'clock yet? Is it 2 o'clock? And lately I've been getting in trouble with virtual appointments because we're doing a lot of work for the Happy Mom Summit right now, doing some speaker calls. And I have been late to quite a few speaker calls. And it's not because I completely forget about the speaker call. It's because I remember the speaker call 10 minutes before. That's when my reminder goes off on my watch. And then I'm like, oh, I have 10 minutes. I can start working on something. I'll be on time for the speaker call. And then 15 minutes in, I'm like, oh crap, it's the speaker call. And I'm like getting on and apologizing.
That sounds like the Brie logic. You did tell me the other day that I've been doing fantastic lately on being on time for things. So for that, FYI, for the speaker calls, because again, like you said, it's a 15-minute thing and I have 2 ways that I work. And from what I've read online, this is pretty normal for people with ADHD. I either sit there and don't start anything because I don't want to overlap the next thing coming up. Or I do start something, but then I set a timer for literally 90 seconds before my meeting.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. What I've been doing is logging on to the Zoom meeting right when I remember it and having it on my additional screen so that I see the little pop-up when the person comes. And I'm like, oh, it's time. Okay, cool.
Because the shiny object syndrome is strong within you, grasshopper.
That is actually one of the things that people don't talk about with ADHD that is such a benefit because I was a great teacher in an upper elementary school classroom. If somebody was doing something out of character, I knew the second it was happening. I had 3 boys who decided to look up porn websites when they had the laptops.
Oh my God.
They were, it's totally typical, but they were, They brought their laptops to these desks that were facing the wall on the side of the room. And immediately I was able to catch the change in their behavior as they were trying to hide that they were trying to look at these porn websites. And of course, like 10 minutes later, our tech liaison comes in and is like, yeah, there's porn in this room. I'm like, I know what's going on. Let's go get them.
Oh my God.
But
To be a fly in the wall in that classroom at that time would have been hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I'm so like, I remember one time when I was teaching and I was teaching in a shirt and like my bra was just a little bit loose and like my bra strap just came down. It was just a little like loose. That one of the 5th grade boys was like, oh, the bra strap, da, 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 like whispering to them. I immediately caught on it, stopped my entire read aloud and said a bra is a clothing that women wear. And it is not appropriate to talk about it behind their backs or point it out in public. And I was like, we will not be talking about that to any women whatsoever.
That is a no-go.
But it's a very, very helpful skill. You can really pinpoint. I think that's why I liked being a Girl Scout leader too, because I knew what everybody else was doing. And I could be like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with that. Like,
see, with me, the shiny object syndrome, like, so I love how you see it, use it, and hone in on it as a superpower. For me, it's a huge distraction. I have such a, so like one of the big things I do too that I know is also an ADHD trait is the interrupting. And I know you've seen this with me. Like we'll be talking and I'll like almost start like bouncing or fidgeting because there's something I want to say. And dear God, if I'm like trying, every part of my body is trying to hold it in and not interrupt with the statement. Sometimes I don't win and I interrupt and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I need to say this really fast. And sometimes it's not even related to what we're speaking about. You said something and it made me think about a random song lyric and I'm like,
it's like must keep sound lyric in.
I'm like trying so hard not to pop it out in the middle of a conversation.
That's interesting because one of the questions in ADHD is how often do you have difficulty concentrating on what people say to you?
Oh, all the time. I cannot. You can even see it. Sometimes when we have like a really long interview, you can kind of see me sort of just like glass over. And I don't mean to. Actually, you know what? I saw Trevor Noah did an interview where he was talking about that the other day and how like he has a heart, like people would say that to him when he was interviewing them. They would be talking to him and they would say something and an example of his thought process. And by all means, people that are listening and you, Joanne, tell me if you've been there before. So someone will say something and they'll be like, so the new green package coming out, and he'll be like, green's an interesting color. You know, green is mixed with blue and yellow. There's that yellow car I saw the other day. And what was it? It was like, it was a certain brand. And, you know, but when you buy cars, you have to worry about financing. You know, should I be getting a new car soon? Like, I'm thinking that maybe, and then he'll just start kind of glossing over in his head. And then he's like, when there are people that I know, they'll go, hey, Trevor, come back. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, sure. But people that don't know him are like, you just get so disinterested. And when I'm talking, why am I boring you? And he's like, no, I just like you said green and now I'm gone. Now I'm thinking about APRs on car loans. I can't help it.
That was me probably all during high school in the classes that didn't interest me. Because here's the thing though. I'm going to go with a superpower again. When things interest you, you could be like dialed in so well, like so much better than the average person. That's one of the things, like psychology is one of those things that interests me. And I could keep in with that for as long as possible. But oh my gosh, if somebody starts talking about like history, I'm like dead.
Yeah.
I can't do it. They have to like enrapture me with stories and everything. Like they can't give me just facts. If facts, like I'm done for. There's no way.
That's funny about the whole psychology thing. You know, I majored not only in my bachelor's is in psychology, but it's in rehab psychology because it was a functional major. Mm-hmm. You know what that is? That's where Bree didn't have to have a minor. I just got to take nothing but psychology for 4 years. I had to get the basics. You had to get the generals done. But after my sophomore year, it was psychology. And I think that's the only way I could ever succeed again.
I didn't have to take a minor either. I got my broadcast journalism degree and I just got to do like media classes and
really?
I did like mass media and love was one of my classes and all of these things. But they all dealt with like how media is portrayed in society and like all of these psych, basically focus subjects. But school also becomes so much more involved as a parent. There are so many things like I just have to ignore from the school, else they will infiltrate my brain.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me, like, are you one of those parents where they basically have to read you your last rites before you will fill out the required emergency paperwork? I do not fill out that emergency paperwork until they're like, you have a day, else we are not going to let your son come to school anymore. And I'm like, got it. I got it. It's become important enough. I can't ignore it anymore. Thank you so much.
I try to get that stuff done as immediately as possible because yeah, it's almost impossible for me. I feel like there's so many things that are pulling our attention these days. It is hard to tell, or at least not hard to tell. It's easier the more you think about it, but there's so many things pulling our attention these days that I think it becomes more and more apparent if we were able to fly under the radar when we were younger and not have anybody question whether or not we had ADHD or ADD or anything like that, any attention issues whatsoever, because we were able to hide it well enough. But nowadays it's really hard. And so now the question is like, okay, I'm hearing you guys. I 100% agree. I sound just like you. What the hell am I supposed to do now? Now you're freaking me out. And so that's what we're going to talk about after this break. We're going to tell you guys what you can do next.
Fever, cough, congestion. When the symptoms keep coming, but you've got to keep going, you can rely on Mucinex Fast Max All-in-One. Just one dose of Mucinex Fast Max All-in-One relieves up to 9 cold and flu symptoms, helping you get on with your day. Need cold and flu relief? Get Mucinex Fast Max All-in-One and Done Relief. It's comeback season. Use as directed.
Meaningless stuff. Why do we gift so much meaningless stuff? Tired of generic gifts and hollow trends? Shutterfly allows you to create meaningful photo gifts for your family and friends. Whether it's a cozy fleece blanket for grandma, a stunning canvas print for mom, or a mug to make dad smile. Enjoy 40% off with code MAKE40 at Shutterfly.com and make something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.
So now that we've talked about all the shiny object syndrome, and by the way, I want to throw this one piece of advice out to you. You don't need a new organizer. That's not going to fix this.
This is not going to fix it.
We always think a new organizer. It's going to do it this time. It's going to do it.
You need less yes. Instead of more. I only use one calendar. That's it. It's one calendar. I don't know how you keep track of 2 calendars. I cannot.
Well, they're both digital. And then on top of that, I have a daily thing that I jot things down on. But that's just because my brain is very jumbled. There is a lot of jumbling going on in my brain. And that's why I really do feel like I need to go get diagnosed, because I've read that like you can be diagnosed with not autism, sorry. Wrong direction. Anxiety and or depression inappropriately when it's actually ADHD situations.
Yeah. I was actually talking to my nurse psychiatrist, and she's saying how this one woman in her 40s came to her and she diagnosed her with ADHD. The woman started on stimulants, and her family's saying she's completely different, like in a good way, not as irritable, more present. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing story.
See, that's what I'm hoping for with me, but we'll see. We'll see. So I will make that appointment. But that leads me to our first tip. What to do next?
Yeah.
First of all, give yourself some self-compassion, people. You are juggling 10 times what the average person is juggling, and yet you still think you're a failure.
Yep.
You've got more balls in the air than anybody else out there, and I don't know why we can't see it.
I mean, one of the other questions for ADHD is like, do you have a tendency to make careless mistakes? And that is something that happens a lot. Like, and it's funny because I do the same thing too. I'll check things like 2 to 3 times. And it'll still be there. There'll still be a mistake there I didn't catch. And it is so frustrating. So you got to give yourself that self-compassion. Know that so many other people are struggling with it, and other people like who also have ADHD are going to be struggling with the same things you're struggling with. You are not alone. The second part of what to do is go get an answer. Go get some help for it. There are specific tests that they can give for ADHD. I just saw one actually. It's a computer generated assessment that tracks your eye movements. They just use a normal computer, and it's like a pattern recognition thing. So you go in and you're like, okay, there's a square, and you have to hit the button if there's something different than the one before it. So if you had square, square, triangle, hit the button. Triangle, triangle, circle, hit the button, that sort of thing. Meant to be really boring, really repetitive. And it tracks how many mistakes you make and where your eye movement goes. And it is one of those measures of ADHD to see like how you compare with the normal person and how your brain compares with the normal person.
It's interesting. My daughter had a ADHD screening with her pediatrician, and it was 100 questions. Just the fact that it was 100 questions made that thing so boring. It was like, oh my God, another one. Oh my God. We kept hitting the button, and you're like, damn it. I hit enter and there's another question. How are there so many questions? So maybe that was why it was 100 questions. They were just trying to annoy the people.
Well, it's so funny because if the kid has ADHD, more than likely one of the parents are going to have ADHD. Like it usually runs in it. So would that be funny if they're like, let's test mom and dad too. And let's see, because maybe we could get a diagnosis going for this entire family and really help them out.
It's like a jackpot. We got a 3-for-1 here. Yay!
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's crazy.
but I do think that the definitive answer and the definitive solutions are important. So like your nurse practitioner you were talking to was like, well, we can do the test, but I'm still going to treat you the same. That's not always the case. Like you said with the second story you shared about the woman who got treated for ADHD, and so they gave her stimulants, and her family was like, wow, totally different person. Instead of us just rolling with that whole, yeah, I probably do have it. Oh, well, I've made it this far in life. Yeah. I don't know. Why not get some help? Why not see if there's a better place you could be and get supports for once in your freaking life? I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know. And then the third thing, right?
Yeah. In addition to that, find a supportive community to lift you up. Come join us in our balance community. I have to say, we have a high majority of people with ADHD because like attracts like. So, I mean, if you really love this podcast, you're going to love and find all of your new friends in balance. I say that. I mean it.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, we're saying like not everybody in balance has the same, a brain hiccup. I'll call them a brain hiccups that I have. Like they don't all think the same way. But if there's one thing that is very true about our balance community is we lift each other up. At no point in time is there ever any judgment. And like so many women that are in our community have said that before. They're like, I've never felt like I actually belonged somewhere or that I was actually supported in any way close to this. Mm-hmm. And that's just because like we love everybody no matter what. We all know that we're trying our best. And I also think the fact that we work so hard on that self-compassion, it helps a lot.
The self-compassion really, really helps. And also know that if you do have ADHD and you do decide to get treatment, you're not going to lose your superhero qualities when you do.
No.
Like your brain is trained that way already. It's just going to help the noise die down. Because like there's a lot of noise you deal with ADHD. I have to say though, I have been started on some supplements though by my same psychiatrist. And like fish oil, I'm taking L-theanine and magnesium. And that has calmed me down quite a bit and helped me focus more. So I don't have like that nervous energy. Good. I used to get that animosity when I had to like sit down in front of a project that I knew I would have to think out. Like I would have that fear starting in me because I knew it was going to take some logical sustained thought to do it. And even like writing my books, the only way I got through that was to chunk it in 25-minute times and then play a playlist I was familiar with to distract myself while I was writing.
That's what I was going to say.
And stuff. Yeah. But it was still torturous. Yeah.
Right. All these tricks that we tell ourselves we've found that work well enough. Because none of them are perfect. But we tell ourselves, like, I can get by enough.
Yeah.
You know what? Imagine how much more you could get by if you had the supports that you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is the thought process we'll leave you with today.
So let us know how it works out for you. We have a link to join Balance in our show notes. Hint, hint. Go do it. We want to see you there. And until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.